I'm Michael Fox, and this is the Prospector Podcast, and we are on location at the New Orleans Investment Conference in the Hilton Riverside in New Orleans, Louisiana. And you never know who you're going to run into these conferences, but I've run into Maura Kolb, the president and CEO of Dryden Gold. Welcome back to the show, Maura.
Thanks for having me.
And for the, not that I can think that there's many of our listeners that aren't familiar with Dryden Gold by now, but let's give them the quick overview of the company.
So we're an early stage explorer looking for high grade gold in Northwestern Ontario. If you've been following along, you've seen some great results this year, and we're continuing to deliver on our objectives for our exploration program.
Yeah, the nice thing about where you are, the drill keeps turning and turning and turning. And as we speak, it's still turning. But the summer has been a little bit different because you've had focus on the gold spot area initially, and now you've finally turned some drills on a couple of new targets, and you've had some exciting results coming out of there as well. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, well, I'll just remind everyone, we have a 70,000 hectare project. So we really hold the whole district in Dryden. And so our exploration campaign is really twofold. One, we're trying to grow gold rock, like you mentioned. That's been a great target for us. We're expanding that. We're getting new high grade zones that are sub-parallel to the kind of main targets we initially had. And then we're focused as well on making new discoveries. With the district play that we have, we really need to, see what's there, scratch the surface. We spent the summer doing some kind of real grassroots work like prospecting, mapping, but a large scale soil program across the whole property. So those things, to everyday investors maybe aren't that exciting, but to our strategics like Centerra Gold and Alamos Gold, they're pretty keen on what those results will be and what other discoveries could be in the camp. Now, to the drilling that you mentioned, we were able to drill test Sheridan, which is a regional target to the south end of our property. Really interesting results there. Very broad zones of gold mineralization. The highlight, I would say, is 19 meters at 1.3 grams. Now, historically, there are some really high grade hits, but quite narrow at surface. And we're looking at this with like a different set of eyes. Like this could be a very different type of deposit from our gold rock. This is something where there are, we call them granite intrusions that are kind of heat and fluid sources that are just a kilometer south of where this geophysical anomaly is. So this is a different beast. We're waiting for the geochemistry to get back to see if there's any other metal anomalies with this and kind of how we should attack this in 2026. But it's definitely some interesting results. Wide zones as big as 136 meters of low-grade mineralization. So it's definitely a different footprint. And then the other exciting regional results we've just announced the last month at Hinman. So we did there what we call channel sampling, which is basically just taking a saw on the surface rocks that are already exposed. And that way you can get a better, more clear sample. So when you're typically taking a rock sample on surface, you just use a hammer and a chisel and you kind of get whatever you get. But with the saw, you're actually able to cut across veins, across structures. Like at Hinman, we were able to intersect 2 veins and a shear zone, all continuous. So we were actually able to get a composite of that. So it's 23 grams over almost 3 meters. And that's really, really encouraging for a surface discovery we just made a couple of years ago. And we've decided to make a positive drill decision on that too. So we're ramping up to prepare to drill test that here going into the new year.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like the property is so big that you could have literally multitudes of completely different deposits on it. That must make a challenge for discovery and for planning your work, because you have to attack these in completely different fashion.
Well, just before I came down to New Orleans, I had the geology team over and we kind of had a strategy session. We like to go through and rate and rank all of our targets. Grade is always king. You want something high grade because that helps with the economics of the project. But we also look at logistics, social license, the geologic setting, how big things can be. So we kind of argued about all of these different things, talked about our favorite targets, and we're working on the strategy for 2026 because in August we did a raise and we are ready to keep drilling. As you said, drills are still turning.
Yeah, but you're a mom and you're a geologist. You know, as a mom, you're not allowed to have a favorite child, but as a geologist, you are allowed to have favorite rocks. So what's the Maura Kolb's favorite rocks in the property right now?
Well, I'm really, really excited about the Hinman project. This is like a Hemlo opportunity. We're a kilometer away from the Trans-Canada Highway. The rail line goes through the project, natural gas, the power. I mean, it's just such a perfect setting for a new discovery. And I really like this one because we found this ourselves. This had never been discovered by anyone else. It was part of our initial reconnaissance program. And this kind of system could be, at least it could be quicker for us to kind of explore and uncover. These veins are happening at the contacts of a large granite intrusion. So if you think granite, you think granite countertops. So harder rocks, they break, and then you can kind of follow that structure for a long time. And that's what we're optimistic about. And that's why we're going to start drill testing that one.
Now, we've talked a lot about golds, the gold, I would say spot.
Gold rock.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The gold rock, and Hinman was slightly to the north of Gold Rock, if I remember correctly. Yeah. Is it a lot similar to Gold Rock, or are we dealing with like another Sheridan type of idea where it's completely different?
It's completely different. And it's even on one of our early east-west trending D1 structures. So a totally different beast, which just again plays to that. This is a district scale opportunity. We could be a camp like Timmins where there's granite type intrusions, deposits where there's these Archean lode gold like we see at Gold Rock, where it's very high grade and vein material. And now with Sheridan, we might have kind of a low grade monster potentially lurking. So we're really excited to, investigate these targets more and see how we should divvy up the 2026 budget in terms of tackling them. And then I haven't talked about one of our catalysts still for 2025 that we're waiting on results, but you'll remember me talking about Mud Lake. It's a target that has a geophysical anomaly. It looks just like Gold Rock in terms of its kind of signature. So that's about 2 kilometers to the northeast on the main deformation trend of Gold Rock. And we did mapping last summer, got 24 grams, 9 grams, 6 grams. So some nice surface samples. We've done more mapping there this summer, and we did 4 first pass drill holes to kind of see where exactly things project underground. So we're waiting for those to come back, but it's really testing the periodicity or the pattern of high grade gold, but not just at the, zone scale, but now we're testing it for the deposit scale so that we could really have a big, significant opportunity in the Gold Rock camp.
Okay. So those results, how far away are those results? And are you still drilling on those particular targets right now?
We are not drilling on Mud Lake until we get the results back. However, we did do more mapping to kind of expand the footprint. So if the results from both of those programs, the drilling and the mapping, are favorable, we may, expand our permitted area to continue to test that. And I expect the results back before the end of the year on Mud Lake. And we have about 15 holes. I think that's the right number on Gold Rock itself, testing along strike, testing more of these hanging wall structures. So there is more news to come from the 2025 15,000 meter drill campaign.
And how much more meters do you, I know the drills are turning right now. How many more meters for that drilling is the targeted drilling that has been planned for done?
For 2025, we had 15,000 meters. We just completed that. For the 2026 budget that we raised money for in August, that will get us about 20 to 23,000 meters of drilling. We have such low all-in drilling costs here. We really have a great opportunity to get a lot of bang for our buck with our drill dollars.
Okay. And we're still waiting for the results before the 2026 plan goes forward. So
Yes.
The results that we're sitting on right now, the holes are almost done. Where are those results going to come for? We've talked about Mud Lake, we've talked about Sheridan, we've talked about Gold Rock, and we talked about the D1,
Hinman.
Hinman. Thank you. Where are we looking for results to come in from?
For the rest of the year, we'll have the results from Mud Lake coming back on those 4 holes. We have about 15 holes at Gold Rock that we're testing kind of expansion and infill there. So those will come back. And we're just starting to plan and work on execution of follow-up testing on Sheridan, how we should attack that, and follow-up testing in the first drill program ever on Hinman.
Exciting times
It
always.
is. Yeah. It never slows down. It's a little exhausting.
Well, it is, but it's better to be busy. And the nice thing about this company is that there's a constant news flow that's telling this story. And, it's like having a monster by the tail because there are so many different elements that go into this story, and you have to be very specific and focused on what you're talking about, because each of the elements are so different and how they're looked at.
Yeah.
Now, the majors in that are invested with you in that, how are they viewing everything? Are they getting excited about, their favorite child, air quotes, for those, you can't see me, as well as you are, or are they looking for other things?
They're really excited to see the results from the property-wide soil till program, because they see the opportunity that I see, that this is a district scale play. I mean, 70,000 hectares, there's a whole lot more to find than what we've kind of scratched the surface on today. So I think that's the thing they're most excited about, as well as some of the regional mapping and programs we've done. We've had actually Centerra out to site, went over the areas we mapped last summer, and kind of it was early in the season, so our plan for this year. So we have some follow-up calls with them to go through what we've seen so far. And the soil till program will really just get all of those results early in the new year and start to analyze what that means for the overall district opportunities and what other early stage work we should do. Right now, the 2026 budget is all focused on the drill bit, what we can test that we know about now. But I see with we have about 38 million warrants at 30 cents. If we, continue to stay above that, I see more and more of them being executed, and therefore, an even bigger exploration budget that can start to include those regional targets. So it's a pretty optimistic and exciting time for us. And I'm lucky to have a great, ambitious team that helps keep this monster going, as you say, because we've got it by the tail for sure.
Yeah, no, like I compare you to a lot of other companies out there, and there is a raft of work that's being done on yours, and you seem to be full steam ahead, and it's moving quickly. More drill results coming before the end of the year, and I'm looking forward to having you back on to talk about them, because that's back on the Gold Rock site that we've talked about quite extensively, and to the point where I actually almost feel like a geologist. I actually understand what's going on there, which is a compliment to you for explaining it to me. But more importantly, it's an exciting area to be looking at. So if people want to continue to follow the Dryden story, how do they do so more?
Check out our website, sign up for Club Dryden, look at any of our Instagram, Facebook, X, all of these places. We're always kind of putting out new content to keep everybody abreast of what's going on at site.
Yeah, pay attention to the X comment. Maura likes to put out very short videos, but they're actually quite educational, not only about her property, but geology in the whole. And she does make it very accessible for us that look at a rock and see a rock. So thanks very much for joining me, Maura.
Thank you.
Dryden Gold is a paid sponsor of the Prospector News, and the host owns shares and warrants in Dryden Gold bought at the market for investment purposes. The Prospector News podcast is for educational purposes only. The opinions expressed are those of the participants and are not to be taken as investment advice. Listeners need to do their own due diligence and seek advice of a licensed investment advisor.